We have quite an interesting week, being that we've got tariffs that are going to be incurred, and also we've got tech earnings that is happening this week. So, quite a lot to discuss, and without further ado, let's get into it. So, the issue is that as of tomorrow, we are right now on the 30th, tomorrow will be the 1st of August. So, we know that Donald Trump has mentioned that he is going to be imposing tariffs on quite a lot of countries. And those countries that are going to be affected will be Japan, South Korea, Malaysia, Kazakhstan, Tunisia, which will see a 25% tariff, Brazil with 50%, Canada with 35%, Mexico with 30%, South Africa, Bosnia, Sri Lanka, Iraq with 30%, Indonesia with 32%, Cambodia, Thailand with 36%, Laos and Myanmar with 40%, Serbia and Bangladesh with 35%, Vietnam with 20%, and the European Union with 15%. So it's quite a extensive list that Donald Trump has decided to impose tariffs on, right? And if we look at how this is going to affect the economy, he's mentioned that he's going to impose, for example, tariffs on copper imports at 50%, which is quite interesting as this could overall affect things like gold, since gold is also a precious metal. So simply by association, gold is going to be possibly seeing an increase in its value, right? Because it's kind of like a double-edged sword. Normally investors look at gold as a safety haven, but now we're looking at gold as a safety haven, plus we considering that copper is going to be affected, which will in turn affect the price of metals in general. So gold will most likely be quite a strong buy due to these tariffs. And if we look at, you know, the forex industry, those that are trading currency pairs, we are looking at the where can we actually trade these markets, where are the buys, where are the sell opportunities, what should we be focused on. And looking at Euro USD, because of the EU and Mexico tariffs, we're expecting that the Euro USD will be a buy. We're expecting that USD CAD will be a buy. We're expecting that USD JPY would be a sell. We're expecting that GBP USD would be a sell. We're expecting USD CHF would be a sell. And we're expecting that USD ZAR would be a buy. And the reason for this is because historically, when Donald Trump imposed tariffs, we thought it would strengthen the US economy. But if we look at the charts historically, we actually saw many times over that the US economy actually weakened whenever Donald Trump imposed these tariffs, right? So it's not to say it's going to happen all of the time, or it's going to happen this time, but this is just what we expect looking at historical data. However, it's quite tricky because we also have the tech earnings that are going to be released for Microsoft, Apple, Meta, and Amazon. And as we know, the AI space is continuously growing. The tech space in general is continuously growing, and these tariffs might actually affect, innovation to some degree. And then when we looked at when we did our research and looked at what economists were expecting, we noticed that there was a couple of key points that they were mentioning. So they're expecting that there will be a slower growth due to the increased input costs and the trade friction. They're expecting a 0.9 drop in percentage points of US real GDP. They're expecting that the manufacturing costs will most likely rise. between 2 to 4.5% due to the inputs like steel, aluminium, and copper obviously being affected by 50%, which would in turn squeeze the profit margins and in turn risk layoffs and possibly plant closures. They also mentioned that due to inflation, you know, also being affected by tariffs, we might see inflation actually accelerate, especially affecting food prices, possibly going up 4%. Economists are expecting that unemployment is most likely going to rise by 0.5%. Household income pressure, you know, is household income pressure is going to be affected. And what I mean by this is that you and I, you know, the everyday person, we most likely are going to be paying more for the day-to-day goods. So if you already think that, you know what, I've seen an increase in, you know, in my bread, my eggs, my meats, etc., it's going to be a rough journey ahead, especially with these tariffs. And the only real benefit, the only real party that's benefiting from the tariffs is tariffs tend to boost government revenue, but at the same time it does affect inflation. So looking at the markets, the number one candidate that we are looking at is most likely going to be, you know, gold. That's really the only thing, and the Nasdaq. That's really the only strongest candidates right now when we're looking at trading these tariffs. So quite an interesting week. This is just your daily market update so that you know exactly what you should be focusing on. And yeah, we hope this was quite useful, and we'll keep a close eye and see how things play out tomorrow.